Hey everybody. Alright, so I got like an hour I can work here before I gotta make dinner. Just had to move the last of the stuff from our old rental to the new house. So all done with moving. Unpacking, not so much. But in the meantime, I'm gonna start work on this because it's gonna take a while to do. And I got a bunch of shit to do this week. Let's see. Let me refresh the chat room because it needs to be refreshed every time I start. Um, Close that out. Daisuke's here, Hector's here, and Dom is here. So, thanks, Dom. So this is going to be a little bit different. I don't really quite know how. I do kind of know how I'm going to do this. It's just I've only done I've just never done it the way I want to do it before, as big as this. So let's zoom in. So I did do a test working on this stuff here. Hey, Kyle's here. Kyle, you're welcome to drop into Discord if you want to chat. But I'll make sure I'm actually in the Discord. So what I did do, you can see here, is this is the shitty sketch cover stuff, right? Which has more of a gloss than this has more of a texture. But I have this Wolverine one come up that really sucks. This is all just color pencil. You see here, I did a test. So it's going to be a little bit lighter. It's going to take me longer, but you can even see here. This is the basic inks, and then I did this red shade you see here, and then I just tinted it, going lightly over with color pencil, and then adding in texture and stuff. So it's going to be a little bit of a lighter scheme, you know what I mean? But it's going to look cool and artistic. So just because I'm trying to get more into color pencil, so. So let's see here. Oh, come on. Come on. Thanks. Yeah, it took a lot of practice. There was a lot of failure. That's why when I disappear for a couple days, people are like, "What's going on? Where's the art?" And I'm like, "I'm just trying to figure this kind of fucking shit out because there's you type color pencil in to Google, basically the majority of the color pencil work that's being done these days is based off photos. You know, they're just looking at photos and then recreating them. And that doesn't help me a whole lot. And especially on sketch covers, no one's really doing that shit. So um, it's like I just don't know what will and won't work. And the problem with Copics on sketch covers is they seriously start to look like it's kind of like trying to draw on dry erase board. I don't know how to describe it. So, and I've been wanting to get into something a little less produced, you know, a little less, something more artistic, as I go along. So it's been the goal. Thanks. So we're gonna see how this goes, and color pencil is actually what I started using when I was in high school. Like I used to use it a lot, but you know, you start doing these commissions that are based around time, and I kind of want to undo all that. You know, I want to undo. this doing things quickly to make more money to move on to the next thing. Which would last longer, markers or color pen? A bunch of people raid my live stream and start annoying you. No clue. They'll last equally long. You mean like just like in terms of using them? Well, I mean the Copics go by, but the refills last a long time. And I think the color pencils kind of get used up a little faster, but they're cheaper to buy, right? So who knows? You know? And I like all the little textures and stuff, you know? Like I'm a big fan of the lines, you know? So you just got to kind of figure out what you kind of want to make, and then you have to sort of like push toward that, you know? And with color pencil, I can always guarantee it'll work on a sketch cover. That's the one thing I can definitely guarantee. But yeah, definitely more quality versus quantity. It's the only Star Wars character. This is the only Star Wars commission I have. I have this and a Wolverine to do. So just the way it worked out. These are commissions. Probably not the best time to sit a bunch of random people over me though right now, because I'm not going to have a whole lot of time to answer questions. I'd say during the week is better. On the weekends it gets a little more tough. Gerard's game. I don't know what Gerard's game is. Hey, what's up, man? Not today. Nah, cause I'm only gonna be on for like a little less than an hour, man. So there'll be plenty of other times in the future. This has just been a very busy month, man. Like, my wife's gonna want me to make dinner here not too long from now, so. Got this, and I'm gonna need. Sure. Let's see. This. Light gray. Thanks. At some point. At some point. Yeah, he's a dope artist. Brandon knows him. Like on a semi-personal level. Not for 13-year-olds. You know? If they did that, I just think animation in the States, they just consider to be for like 8-year-olds, you know? Like little kids. I wish they would, you know, especially like on Netflix or something, but not likely. Having worked on quite a bit of Star Wars stuff with their licensing and everything, I can just tell you they don't have a lot of the vision for that. Hey, Kyle.
Hey, Rob.
Hey, so there is that SketchCraft room. Well, you have access to that?
There's a room?
Yeah, I actually made a room so you go in the SketchCraft room. You don't have that? On the left hand side
Uh,
in Discord, there should be like a picture of my face. No?
yeah, and I just clicked on call.
So if you clicked on, yeah, you don't know. So you can enter a room. So if you click on the picture of my face, there's a voice channel, and where it says general, click on the general.
Okay, I'll jump over there.
Yeah. There you go. You there?
Better?
Yeah, so it's just so you know if Brandon shows up or anybody, they all can like just hop in.
Yeah, but then I have to talk to Brandon.
Hey, look, we're both in that fucking situation at that point. You know?
Just kidding, Brandon.
I'm not. I'm making.
So you've been having issues with the paper on the cover, just
Well, I
figuring
initially,
out.
I've always had an issue with it. I just tend to try to ignore it. Problem was when I was at con, this guy gave me he gave me Wolverine. May have seen the one I did. It was like back at the Vegas con. There was this Wolverine sketch cover, and I
Hmm.
kind of got something sketched out. But when I went to color, it just got destroyed, dude. Like the and it's been a kind of like when you handed me a like how do I color multiple characters? Like I was like, it's one of those problems. One of those I got to solve this problem, which
Yeah,
opens up something else, which is just you know like I've been meaning to do more just straight color pencil work, but it's just like this time issue. And at that point, I'm like, well, they're already all late, so you know it. I tend to like the look a little more, but we'll see.
yeah, I know. Stan Sakai doesn't do blank covers because he hates the paper on them.
Well, if you're doing color pencil, it's kind of irrelevant because it keeps. But it was also figuring out a
Yeah,
process that makes that work, and you know, and that could scale up. Like the problem with Copics are I can't do a giant 24 by 36. You kind of can, but I'm like I don't know, man. And I've been doing more with color pencil. We all go through our phases. It'd be interesting if Star Wars is vast find right people and concepts to hell that would be a task. And, well, you know, the problem is George Lucas went and made three movies that, despite if people are fans of them or not, killed all form of merchandise. I had happened to work on a bit of that, and merchandise pays the Star Wars bills, man. Despite what people think, it's been that way since the first movie. It's how Lucas made his money. He got the merchandising rights and then made all those toys, and he didn't make the money from the sales of the tickets. Um, those prequel things don't work, man. I mean, I worked on when they did the 3D re-release of the Phantom Menace. That would have
hmm.
been the proof. Like if the people who were like, I like the Phantom Menace, I'm like, great. That would have been the time to go to the store and buy one of those T-shirts we put out, or buy any of the toys, or go actually see that fucking thing. But no one did, Cal. You know, not in the numbers they're looking for.
What jerks?
So
Not buying your stuff.
yeah. So they're like,
Uh, yeah, Armando. Rob will be super pumped when people start asking him to draw specific things. He loves that. It's his
yeah.
favorite thing.
I just ignore it.
Yes, Armando's
Nice.
on the. He's on standby. He's ready.
Armando and Kyle are going to be good friends.
It
Nice sense. How'd your panel go?
was great. We had like 8 people there, and we got like the only room that didn't have a projector in it, and that we were like the one panel that
Needed it.
needed it. Like
You
nobody
actually
else was using the projectors to any of the panels I attended,
that
but for
that
some
makes
reason,
sense.
like I mean, they didn't even turn on our microphones till like halfway through our panel. Like then a guy randomly like wandered in, like flipped the switch. All right, thanks. No, it was fun. We had free T-shirts and
You,
stuff. And
you got conned.
yes, yeah. So it was fine for a panel about a show no one's watched and that couldn't watch an episode because we didn't have a projector.
That'd be the one time to show an episode, man. Like it just
Yeah,
that's unfortunate. It is funny though.
yeah.
Did anyone on the panel? Did all you guys find it funny afterward? Did you guys go get something to eat? And, ha ha
That
ha!
like well,
Without getting in trouble.
no, we we knew like the day before that they put us in a room with no projector because
Oh, okay.
I attended another panel in there the day before, and I was like, "Hey, Gavin, who's the creator," I'm like, "Did you know they gave us a room without a projector?" He's like, "What?"
That's hilarious. We have
He's
a
like, "All
TV
right,
show. We
well,
can't show it because
yeah." uh, we do have this that character Potty Mouth, the toilet guy. They brought the costume for that and had the guy there. Uh,
that's cool.
he went down where all the cosplayers are like taking pictures of people, and he seemed to be a pretty popular person.
Even if people didn't know what it was, right?
Yeah, people didn't know what it was,
Hey, it looks fun.
but yeah, it's a fun looking character, and the costume's like really well done. So did some pictures of that for a while, and then I went and got a couple books signed by Greg Capullo.
Telling you,
He was a
man,
nice guy.
they need a credits where they show the premise and the origin, just like Mystery Science Theater. That way people know exactly what that is.
Yeah, we would have shown him.
And then you can't show them. I
We
was
made it,
leading
but we
up to
can't show
that.
it.
And then they don't show it. Wouldn't it be great if you guys had done that and it turns out you couldn't even show
Yeah, do all the
it?
work.
That's funny, man. Hey, man, if it takes off though, like you can laugh. Remember when we went to that con and we couldn't even show people? Ha ha ha.
There were like 8 people in the audience, and like 3 of them left during the panel.
It's funny.
Yeah, that's right. We had a good time anyway.
That's the Griswold spirit.
And then it's no use like getting angry or annoyed about it. It's like whatever. We'll just might as well just have fun.
Yeah, Greg's always cool. As long as you don't make fun of his height. There's a friend of Brandon's was a big Capullo fan, but he he every time he sees Greg, he lowers down to get a picture and it just pisses him off. Why are you fucking doing that? Like he's like, I just want to make sure we're even height. Like it just
Yeah,
Greg just wants to
yeah.
kill him. Like
He was sitting, so it's hard to tell.
it's probably why now he just sits so no one can do that. But he would really go out of his
They,
way
they,
to anger. I'm like, why would you? Like, he's like, I love it, man. No, I'm a big fan, but oh my god,
they just
fucking
roll him in on a chair so he's never standing, so people can't tell how tall he is.
right. I first met him in '94. Yeah.
Nice.
Image Con. That's what they called it. It was the first convention I went to that wasn't San Diego Con, but it was at
Hmm.
the San Diego Convention Center. So I thought it was going to be like Comic Con, but it was in December. I was like, this will be like Comic Con, and I just got this girlfriend, and I was like, I'll take her because she had read the Angelo series had just come out, and I had showed her the first issue, and she thought it was cool. She was like, all right, I'll go, you know. So I was like, I gotta take a girl to Comic Con, and this was not Comic Con. This is. I mean, it
Was it
was.
all just was it all just like Image Comics artists, or?
Yeah, because I thought it would be cool because it was like we had Wildstorm in San Diego at the time, Top Cow in Santa Monica, you know, and McFarlane was coming over from Phoenix. So he had a Spa Mobile there. Like if you were a big fan of Image in 94, it was an amazing con to go to the first day because all the guys were there. And they just didn't come back to like the second day. They realized what a shit show it was, you know. But that first day, for the first few hours, was fucking amazing. And I got like, because McFarlane hands out tickets, you know, for
Hmm.
signatures. So, you know, we were able to get a few tickets because there was no one there. So I was able to go
Hmm.
through and get a bunch of shit signed the second day, and everyone was there. Spamobile, and Capula was there. I have a picture somewhere. Somewhere. I know. I do.
Yeah, McFarlane was here too, but it was tickets, and then uh, they actually let people without tickets, but it was this crazy long line. Like, yeah, and I didn't have any McFarlane books with me anyway, so just had Capullo sign my first two, the City of Owls and Court of Owls books.
You want to fucking get him happy, man. Get him to sign copies of the Creech.
The next time he's here, I'll make sure
Yeah,
I
do it.
bring a copy of that.
He did 2 series.
Yeah,
I
Tom
like it.
King was here yesterday.
Did you get him to sign your Elmer Fudd?
Yeah, he drew glasses and like hair on Batman.
That's nice. I've decided from now on I'm only signing the inside covers.
Oh, not the
Not the, yeah, I don't, I'm tired. I'm. Authors don't do that. They don't deface their books. So I'm not. I'm not
the
doing it
heated.
anymore. Yeah, well, I'm not. I'm not doing it anymore. I just can't. Plus, I put so much shit on my covers. I can't. You know what I mean? I'm like, I can't
There's no
cover.
place. Yeah,
Yeah, there's no place for this. It's entirely ridiculous. So,
yeah. I told Tom, I'm like, yeah, I saw Batman on Foot, and I was like, what a terrible idea. And then I read it. He's like, yeah, and it was terrible, wasn't it? It's like,
no, it really could be its own universe. It's quite impressive. And I haven't been a fan of that modern Hanna-Barbera thing they've been doing over at DC, you know, or Scooby Doo with like Image Comics armor and shit. And I don't know, man, but that
that one
surprisingly
worked.
worked. Yeah, it really worked. I'm like, goes to show you, man. Just tell a good story, you know.
Yeah,
And the art was dope too. You know what I mean? Like that. It's one of those times where I'm like, I don't like this realistic, but it worked, you know. So it all worked. I was really a big fan of the final product. I remember
yeah.
watching
I haven't.
Phantom Menace in 3D as his first Star Wars film. Sure, it was. I don't believe that. Sorry, you were saying I was reading the comments.
No worries.
It's supposed to be your job, Kyle.
Oh,
It's supposed to be co-pilot.
yeah. I'm failing at life.
Co-pilot. Man in the chair. Man in the chair, Kyle.
All right. Napalma asks, Rob, is there an anime that you would like to see made into a movie? Mine
Nope.
would be Big O with a Batman, Dick Tracy, or Rocketeer movie style feel.
I don't want any anime turned into live action.
What about Akira?
I don't want any anime turned into live action. I would like an Akira anime series that actually adapts the entire manga. Like 64 episodes, you know, long because the movie's only a portion. Portion. I like animation the way animation looks. Like a lot of anime to me is a lot like Street Fighter. I don't want to see a live action version of it. I don't mind an animated version of it, but those designs don't work very well in live action. You know, they can, but I like animation, man.
So you're okay with the movie, just not live action movie.
Yeah, animated. They wanted to do like a CG film that looked super artistic. You know what I mean? They captured
Hmm.
that whole look, but it was also like had a a 2D-ish, but not. How do I describe it? Like you can do things in CGI to make it look totally 2D and amazing and artistic, but they don't. They tend to just make things look realistic. I don't get why.
Hmm.
You know. So uh, that's my opinion.
Have you heard anything of a Batman anime? Armando seems to think there's
Batman
one coming.
Ninja. Yeah, there is one. It's called Batman Ninja. Had a pretty cool poster. They debuted at Comic Con.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you ever see that Chinese one? The Chinese Batman? It was a short.
No.
Oh, it's my favorite Batman animated thing since the Return of Joker. One second. Yeah, so there was this animation short they did a couple years back, and it's like Shanghai Batman or something. It's fucking awesome, dude. It's really
Hmm.
badass. So I'm hoping it's more like that and less like the uh, the Batman Gotham Knights, which wasn't bad. It just wasn't nearly as cool. But the animation was fucking awesome. It's Batman versus Bane and Catwoman, but it all has this like Shanghai feel to it, and the art style's super loose. So it was pretty cool, man.
All right. You think you'll pick up the Batman animated series Blu-rays coming out?
Depends on what they price it at.
Yeah.
Depends on what they price. I just when it comes to the Bruce Timm look, man, I leave it at Return of the Joker. Anything beyond that, that was before they made Batman Beyond a clone and all that other bullshit. So I leave it there. The fact that everything coming out of DC looks like the Bruce Timm designs just gets old for me. I'm like, really? This is all you can do? You know? I mean, so and that I don't believe the writing holds up to the writing back in the day anyway. So I'm like, don't use that art style if the writing isn't up to snuff. Have you seen the Batman Harley Quinn thing that just came out? It's pretty fucking bad, dude. it's
I
pretty,
I, I heard it
it's pretty horrible, bro.
was not
Like
good.
they're using that art style without, like, if you can't get Paul Dini and Burnett and all those fucking dudes to like write you some badass stories, like get Tim King or Scott. I mean, I'm not a fan of it. I get people are, I'm not. Not a fan of it, man. I think they did a pretty good job adapting the Dark Knight Returns, but they cut out the narration, which is integral to that
Mm.
story of being inside Bruce's head. I'm like, why would you cut out the narration? Like helps fill in a lot of voids, man. Like so, especially when you got Peter Weller, man, like the guy to talk. So it's like I saw that Batman Year One animation and I hated it. Except I loved the credits. There's shadows and shit in the credits. Like they actually made it look like the comic panels. I'm not a fan of motion comics, but why can't we put shadows in the fucking animation like they used to? Everything's super clean and bright, and I don't know, man. Like I'm a big fan of avant-garde animation. Like if you guys remember Liquid Television back in the day, in the 90s, MTV used to have the show called Liquid Television. It was all about like experimental animation. And that's where Beavis and Butthead came from. That's where Aeon Flux came from. The same show. You know what I mean? So that's how diverse each short would be. It'd be these really weird anthology shorts. And they would do, you know, uh, experimental animation. That's where the Max came from. The Max cartoon was first on Liquid Television. And
Hmm.
then that whole Max team went and did the Spawn cartoon. So you get the Spawn cartoon from that. And it's like, we just don't have that anymore. They don't do it. So it's really quite the shame. It's like all these DC animated movies that come out all look the same, but they're not in the same universe. It's fucking confusing to me, Kyle. I'm the only one like is like I don't get this. Other than production wise, they're super easy to churn out. You know, I get that. I just don't care. I just don't care, Kyle. The art of churrasco. But so whatever. And there's so many compelling different ways. I mean, there's so many cool art styles you could do, dude. These characters are they they're so strong. They can be done in different styles. You know. But it's just me. I see some dope ass shit. I'm gonna be like, that's fucking amazing. I'm not a guy who's like, oh, everything sucks. Like, no, man, they could make some cool. I like that Mickey Mouse stuff they've been doing with the weird Mickey Mouse, where Goofy looks crazy. He's got like yellow eyes and shit. I like that. I actually like the art style in the new DuckTales cartoon. So I thought that shit looked pretty fucking cool. So probably end up looking more like old man Luke when I get done with it. But what can you do, right?
Just give him some Wolverine claws. Me,
Snick it.
old man Lucan.
Oh, it looks just looking like a pretty battered up Kenobi. So it all works out. It all works out. Do 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 do. Um, try and get some of this going first.
You looking forward to Justice League? Napalma asks.
I want it to be a good movie.
That's about how I feel.
I want it to be a good movie, folks. I have been waiting for Justice League since George Miller was working on it in 2006. My wife's been hearing about this since almost the day we met. You know, she's been hearing about. She is sick and tired of me talking about fucking Justice League. You know, she wants this to be worth all my fucking nonsense too. You know,
Mm-hmm.
whether they accomplish that or not. You know, I still say, you know, like BVS is not the greatest film, but it's nowhere near the worst comic movie ever made. I mean, not by a long shot. I'd watch the uncut BVS before I'd watch like Iron Man 2, you
Mm-hmm.
know, or Blade 3, you know, by a mile, dude. It's just given what is available for them to do, given the standard that's been set, you know, across the board, even by other Batman films. People are like, oh, they're just trying to compare to Marvel. I'm like, let's just talk about the other Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, given what they themselves have done. It's just they need the writing, man. You know, they need character arcs. They need growth. They need me to care. Like showing me someone dying isn't going to elicit a tear from me. You know what I mean? Like making me care about whether that actually happens. Like I come back to one of your favorite films, Kyle, the Star Trek reboot. You know, and or requel, whatever you want to call it, in 2008 or nine. I think nine, right? I don't.
2009.
2009 is I cared more about Thor, right? Kirk's dad in the first minute and a half of that film than I did about anyone in BVS ever. You see what I'm saying? Like, there just felt like there was a sacrifice there. Like, what's the sacrifice? You know? So these things have to kind of be earned, you know? I feel. And it doesn't take much, it just starts with emotion. All art is about emotion. It's trying to make you, like, feel things, you know? And there's an emotional core that's lacking from these films. You know, it was more in Man of Steel, but even then, it was tough because it was like you probably didn't spend enough time with them to know. But I don't know. It's hard to also feel like sorry for Superman. Oh, you have invincible powers, you know. Oh, boo. You know what I mean? Like,
Poor you.
right? Oh, you know. So it's funny.
Yeah, I'm hoping Joss Whedon was able to sprinkle a little of his magic movie dust on it and save it from too much Zack Snyder-ness.
Couldn't save the first season of Dollhouse,
No,
you know, and half of Age of Ultron. So, you know,
no. I mean, I'm not saying everything Joss does is great, but if you
right.
look at their track records,
Yeah,
Joss
yeah.
has a much better track record than.
Do I think they'll bring in the Green Lantern? Well, they brought in the Green Lantern by mentioning Green Lantern, right? In the trailer. No lanterns. They got Mance Raider in there. So, Umberto's said there's something, but whether they'll like say it, I don't know, you know. Does it matter? You know? I think what matters is that we care about the Justice League. You know? Like, that I care about the current characters that are in there. It's hard to say, man. You know, these are people that killed Jimmy Olsen, like in the first 3 minutes of a film. Like, like I don't know. You know, I don't know what they're gonna do. And I'm a person that likes The Watchmen, the movie. You know, so I'm not a anti Zack Snyder guy. That being said, he fucked up one of the easiest movies ever to make, and that was Sucker Punch by adding in that really weird his idea of what's the word I'm thinking of? Not imagery, symbolism reminds me of like a
Mm-hmm.
trapper keeper. You remember the old trapper keepers from the 80s where it'd be like a unicorn with the teardrop and a rose and shit? And you're like, okay, I get it. It's pretty, but who the fuck cares? Like, it's not really symbolism, you know? Like, Sucker Punch should have just been a bunch of girls, like an escape out of prison movie. They're in an asylum, they want to get out, and each one has a vision of the way they see the world. And you're just jumping, each one seeing the same scenario from their own warped mind. You know, some see it from a crazy Asian samurai way. Some of them see it from this like steampunk World War II thing with dragons. Some of them see it from like maybe a dark monster thing. It could have been that simple. Just wasn't hard, man. You know. But oh no, Zack Snyder comes in with his Snyderisms. You know, and it's like it's tough, dude. I will go see Justice League opening weekend. And if you see like the last time I saw BVS, I'll bury my opinion on it in a podcast I will not title. I don't need the ire of DC Ultra fans, dude, who are like, you fucking didn't like the movie. I'm like, I have been going to Batman films since '89. You know what I mean? Like Star Wars was my first major favorite thing. You know, Star Wars and Superman, the first movie. But I was 10 when Batman went to theaters, and I always tell people it's like my um, Star Wars when I was a kid. It was like seeing that thing you hadn't seen before. We hadn't seen a dark superhero Batman on. You know what I mean? Like, you were there, Kyle, right? Like, it was fucking crazy, and the whole goddamn country was like Batmania, dude. You know, which they hadn't seen anything like
Mm.
that since Star Wars. You know, everyone lined up at the theaters. Everyone in school had a Batman shirt. Everybody, people that were never fucking, all the people that used to beat me up for reading comics were wearing comic book shirts, and I was like, what the, you know? Then I was told I wasn't cool enough to like Batman.
You just can't win, Rob.
They appropriated my shit, like, to use modern terms, right? I learned as a kid really quickly, we can never win nerds. You know what I mean? Geeks, like whatever we are, we can't win. I didn't care about the slow mo, man. Just reminded me of looking at like giant pinup spreads. Everyone hates the slow mo. It doesn't bother me. Never understood it. Never understood the thing with the lens flares too. I'm like, it's just using light. I don't see people complain about lens flares in Close Encounters or Poltergeist or E.T. Matter of fact, I think it worked even better than versus what they do. What in the modern Ghostbusters movie, they just saturate everything with lime greens and shit. At least they're using real physical fucking light. Like I'll
Yeah,
tell
like
you.
I have no problem with Zack Snyder's visuals. I just wish his stories
Stop
matched
writing.
up with it.
Yeah, he needs to stop writing scripts.
Yeah,
If he just let Jeff Johns write the fucking script and he just went and shot the fucking script, I think you'd have an amazing film. You know?
it's interesting to note out of his last three movies, like I think two of them are in like the 20% range, and the one of them was 55%, and that's the one he didn't write.
Yeah, but he had a strong influence on it. I mean, like we did on the last podcast, I put a link to what the story looked like when Goyer and Johns first worked on it. And it was called World's Finest. That was the script. And it didn't have any of the weird shit in it. And it had to do with Luther running for president and everything, dude. Like, it was all the things you'd want, basically. You know? And it just reminds me of, like, there was a Batman Returns script written by Sam Hamm, who wrote the first Batman movie. Um, and Burton got final script approval with his deal on that film. And the script Sam Hamm wrote was a true sequel to Batman '89. And it had featured Penguin and Catwoman looking for. Apparently, it got into the creation of Gotham City, and that Gotham City was founded by five basically wealthy guys. Basically, Gotham City went bankrupt when it was a colonial town, and they were robbed. Right, the bank was robbed, and these millionaires, one of them being the great grandfather of Bruce Wayne, stepped in and bailed out the city. That's why they're so wealthy now, and they own so much of it. You know, and this amount of money that was stolen was long rumored to be buried somewhere. And so Catwoman and Penguin are looking for this treasure, basically. And it turns out it's buried underneath Wayne Manor in the Batcave. And so Bruce Wayne learns that his grandfather and these other four guys actually robbed the city so that they could basically take it over and become wealthy. And he had to like question like everything that he is, everything his family ever did is actually based off the thing he's fighting against. And then they also coincidentally realize that Bruce Wayne is Batman because guess where the shit's buried, and they find the Batcave, and Vicky Vale's in there, Robin, the whole thing, and it was very much a comic booky kind of film. Like if you look at the way kind of the Marvel movies are done, it's similar to that. It's a fun script, guys, and they canned it. Tim Burton got involved with the script, and yeah, Batman Returns. Script's out there, guys. You can go read it. You know, it's real. You know,
It is on the interwebs.
I have read it, and so it's like it's just a real shame because I feel like Zack Snyder suffers the same problem as Tim Burton in that respect. You know, like his best rated film ever for screen for writing is the Dawn of the Dead remake, and guess who wrote it? James Gunn. You see what I'm saying, Kyle? Like,
That we should all just watch James Gunn movies.
well, you know, it helps. You know, I'm gonna take a 5 minute here, man. My wife needs me to go downstairs and help her lift something. So, Kyle, try not to be too rude to everybody.
Okay.
I'll zoom out on this so we can stare at it for a bit. So, give me 5 minutes, folks. I gotta go downstairs. All right, there we go. Here.
Are these the? Is it? Do you use Prismacolors or?
Polychromos.
Oh, that's right. Polychromos.
Yeah.
Are the other commissions that you have to do covers or
One is.
one is? Okay.
I might end up doing them all in color pencil though. You know. They go, what about the Copic? I don't give a shit. Do whatever I want to do. They'll get their money's worth. You know. I've just long sort of held the feeling that I'm kind of overproducing. I don't know. There's something trying to keep it a little. I don't know. Not lighter is the word. I don't know what the word is.
Me neither.
There's just a look I'm going for, man. You know. Every year I hope I get closer to it. I've yet to be like. I enjoy doing this stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And no chance of like these things spilling alcohol all over your fucking you know.
Armando was wondering if you've ever been a fan of the Saw movies.
I went and saw the first one and I thought I was going to be like this horror film, but it turned out to kind of like be like a I won't say a parody, but it was kind of humorous, you know, in a way. Like it was more like Freddy 3 and it's like horror, yeah, whatever. It was kind of like a cross between Seven and the humor and like, you know, some of the later Freddy movies. It's all right, you know. I'm not really big into like torture porn unless like it involves Rick and Morty. I like Seven, but that's a different film altogether.
Yeah. Yeah, I never did watch uh, any of the Saw movies. They just didn't look interesting to me at all.
Like I like The Purge through the lens of Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Get your purge on. Might be my favorite episode. My neighbors growing up were really into horror films, so I watch a lot of them with them. And the first Nightmare on Elm Street scared the fuck out of me when I was a kid. And then, the third one was more like a comic book, and I didn't know until much later in life that like David Goyer wrote that. That was his first film, which that makes a lot of sense. But I was always more into like something like Lost Boys or Monster Squad, or I like a little bit of humor, man. You know, thrown in there when it's just like violence and blood and guts. Like I like Cabin in the Woods. Unless it's gonna be like more of a drama, like Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which I like until you get to the ending where I'm like, really? Hmm. Yeah, I don't know about that. It's odd. But I love Seven, you know. And what's that one? Was it Identity? The one with John Cusack? Have you seen Identity? I think the Identity is the one it's called. Where like they're all stuck and there's this dude killing them off and they're trying to figure it out. There's a hook to it. I don't want to give it away, so would I recommend watching The Nightmare on Elm Street? I recommend watching 1, 3, and New Nightmare, which came out before Scream. Yeah, the first Nightmare on Elm Street's fucking awesome, man. It holds up. Freddy's probably the greatest horror villain ever made. Get you in your sleep, bro. Like, how are you supposed to not sleep? I tried when I was a kid. I'm never gonna sleep, Didn't work out so well. I could not feed things after midnight. That I could definitely do, but not sleeping. I could not go to camps, summer camps, that have lakes where evil dudes live in. But you gotta sleep, man.
At some point.
Sometime next year, I'll be bringing back the landscape stuff, guys. So. I did a couple years ago, never got the numbers that the first ones did for whatever reason. I don't know how that worked out. But Yeah, there's nothing redeeming about Freddy. You know. So when they made that new one where they tried to give him like a fucking sympathetic background, I was like, no. They got a great actor, man. Jackie Earl Haley could have done some amazing stuff, but just really bad execution. But other than that, I was like stuff like Critters and Killer Clowns from Outer Space and Evil Dead were the kinds of horror movies that I tended to like. Not saying I have great taste, folks. I'm just saying that I like a bit of humor while people are being murdered. Yeah, tell me about it. Like Predator. Predator in the Jungle's the way it's at. Predator in the Burbs. I don't know, man. The Predaburbs. Whatever they're gonna call this new movie. I don't know. I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt because of Shane Black, but that's about the end of it, folks. Like, I only feel comfortable watching horror movies in the daytime. Kyle and I were talking about the Orville the other day off the air, and I just decided to look it up, and it turns out that the Orville has an 18% tomato meter and 92 from like so 18% critic and 90% public. Like
Yeah.
there's a divide.
I think a lot of those shows, critics only review the first episode of a series.
You think so?
Yeah. They don't have time to watch the entire series.
Sometimes it's indicative though, man. Like in Humans, Iron Fist.
Have you watched any of Stranger Things
Nope.
season 2?
No. Going
Mm.
to, but it's been a. I'll get to it this week.
You heard it here, folks. Rob's going to watch Stranger Things instead of working on your commissions.
It's not true. I haven't even played Mario Odyssey yet. It's just sitting there.
When did that come out?
It arrived Friday.
Nah. Yeah, I'm 6 episodes into Stranger Things.
2 more to go, right?
Been, I think it's 9 episodes. Been doing 2 a day. So I know a lot of times you use red to, like when you're drawing your art, you'll use red for the shadows initially. How does that work with coloring over with colored pencil? Does the red not show through too
It
much?
shows through, but what it does is it gives it a certain life. So like
Mm-hmm.
they do this in painting. They'll do a sienna base,
Okay.
and then they'll paint all the oils over it. And the reason why is it puts things that are living tend to have blood in them. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
like they have a warm feeling to them. So if you wanted it to have a warm feeling, you would do this. If I wanted it to be super dark and gritty, I would do probably more of like a blue, you know what I mean, or a black. But you know,
Because you used to do a lot of purple in your shadows, right?
I have, yeah, in the past.
Hmm.
So
Is that something you've moved away from, or
well, I
is it
would
just
print
something
things
you
out at a certain thing, but here I'm just doing the. One of the reasons why I'm doing it with the red is I'm already drawing with red. So if I
Mm-hmm.
were to only do a commission, let's say I'm doing a commission where it's just pencil and pen, then I'm using the same tools. I'm just trying to like pare the tools down. So
Mm-hmm.
each process is just a step, and then I'm maybe doing less of a step. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like down the
Yeah.
way.
I was just curious.
Yeah. But that's why I tried my initial test with the greens because if the red wasn't going to work, it would not work with the greens more than anything else. Because you put
Mm-hmm.
red and green together, you get brown, right? But clearly it's not brown, you know? So it has to do with using like, um, light levels of, it's almost like glazing, using light little layers of color to kind of go over.
Okay.
So it takes longer, I'd be much further along if this were Copics, but I'm not caring about that, you know? As Kyle
And
knows,
was it?
my plan is to do giant art, right? So super saucies and shit. And this shit
Oh,
will scale up. Hmm?
I went to the art gallery the other day,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe that half of what they think is talent is just painting on canvases that are 6 feet tall.
That's exactly always been my problem. Is that
I'm like, it's all giant. I'm like,
yeah,
and
they,
like
yeah,
2/3 of this is not very good.
that's most of it. And so I noticed that when I was a kid, and it would be difficult because I would see people like fellow artists would be, oh, look at this giant canvas, and they're just drawing big because people go,
Mm-hmm.
oh wow, look at the scale of it. But you look at the content, you're like, I don't give a flying fuck about this shit. So meanwhile, I see guys at Comic Con doing things on sketch cards that were fucking amazing, and it was like, all right, so I get it. The hardest part I've had is in my older age when I go to like we have these friends back in San Diego, and they're super trendy. They own a home in Kensington. It's like almost $1 million home. And so they had us to our house and they did this whole new deck refurbishment. And the home was built in like the 20s. It looks like Sunnydale where they live. You know what I mean? It's like
Mm-hmm.
20s, kind of LA-ish. And I go to their house and they had this girl there who was like, 22, 23. And she's like, she's like, oh, this is our artist, she's like a real artist. And I'm just like looking, because they've known me for years. And they're like, yeah, she has like her stuff in a gallery and it's right over a wall. And it's just fucking chicken shit. You know what I mean? It's just like the Jackson Pollock stuff, dude, that I'm like, it's not my thing. Whatever that is not what I do.
Yeah.
So it's like, I get it, you know, I get it. And she's telling me about art. You know what I mean? I'm like, do tell. Hey, do me a favor. Draw a three-dimensional cube. Yeah, here's a pen. Here's a, you know what I mean? Let's just, I'll rotate it. Cut a section out, find center. You know what I mean? They don't know any of that stuff. So, you know, and like, well, she's published. I'm like, good for you. It's amazing. And she's like, well, I've lived in
Exactly,
Europe. I'm
Napalm.
like, oh, you've lived in Europe. Well, that's amazing. It's like,
Wait, you did too. Well, you were in
shh, I
Germany,
don't
right?
talk. Don't. If you have to, you ever read Game of Thrones? If you have to tell people you're king, you're not really the king. Right?
Well, you're not telling people. I'm telling them.
Uh-huh.
Rob lived in Europe too.
Oh
And
yeah.
Rob did art in Europe. Well,
Oh yeah.
he's fancy.
Uh. Rob saw the Phantom Menace when it came out in Europe, and that was fun because it was all dubbed.
He saw the European
The
version.
German, yeah. To watch the Nemodian speak German was fun. It's just fucking Dustin Dawson. I can't. I'm not good with the German accent, but it was like they were trying to do that broken accent with German. It's fucking weird. But
I,
even,
uh,
go ahead.
did you see the trailer for that Vincent Van Gogh movie that's all painted, where they painted the entire movie?
Yeah, I saw that. It was kind of
So,
like, when they do like a snippet of like a cartoon, each one does like 15 seconds of animation or something.
mhm.
It was kind of like that. Yeah. That was cool.
Yeah, yeah. So I went and saw that last week because it was in the theater for a little while, then it disappeared, and I saw they're doing a single screening. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go catch it, you know. So I get there, buy my ticket, and as I'm walking away, the guy's like, oh, hey, just so you know, it's in Polish because we're doing a Polish film festival here with English subtitles. So I watched the movie in Polish for the Polish Film Festival.
Did they have pierogies and shit? Like, did they have
Uh,
food?
no,
Oh, well, you can't do a cultural film festival without the cultural food. I'm a firm believer. I'm a foodie, man, and I don't believe it. Get some good fucking Polish food, man. It's a bummer.
yeah, I was really surprised in like the
Well, I saw Doctor Who.
but I was surprised at the end. You know, sometimes they give like sort of a wrap up to like what happened after or whatever.
Hmm.
Where it said he painted like 600 pieces, but only sold one while he was alive.
To the doctor.
Which, yeah, which is so crazy to me that he was only able to sell one. That's insane.
Sounds like my
Like,
career. This only person who buys my art is Kyle.
Rob, I've bought two. You've sold two pieces.
Look, let's be honest. If Van Gogh had had the internet, he'd have sold more. He just didn't get out of town much.
Yeah,
You know?
I just found that interesting. Kind of makes me wish I had a time machine and I could go buy Starry Night.
I have it on my credit card.
Rob, they wouldn't take your credit card. Sorry.
Always got me a girl to talk whenever I go to the bank. Oh, that's so pretty. Starry Night. I'm like, oh yeah, big fan. Do you draw? A little bit.
That's funny. I used to have a Starry Night credit card as well.
Now my wife sees it and goes, Doctor Who. I'm like, yeah, there you go. That's it.
You should make your own credit card art.
You can actually. I would hate that.
For hey, what?
I would not want my own art.
On your credit card?
I just, it's chill out on the ego, I don't have that thing, Kyle. You know what I mean? Where it's like I just surround me with me. I need a break from me. I'm a bit much. You and I recognize.
I imagine it would be a very painful process of even getting it approved because they'd be like, "Oh, this is licensed art." Like, no,
No,
it's
they
fine.
don't care. You can print anything on a card if you want.
Really?
Yeah, no one gives a shit.
Huh.
I mean, you can get these things personalized. You can put up your own art and shit, just like business cards.
Yeah, I guess whenever I've filled it out once for like a custom card, it always says that you can only use like stuff you own.
No, it's my art. I own
Or
it. I do
yeah, I'm
own
just
my
saying
art.
if they got yours, they'd be like, "Wait a minute, this is like professional art. This isn't something you
Yeah,
just did."
yeah. No professional gets a credit card. We just.
Right, Rob. Now you're just being argumentative to argue with me.
Oh, I'm using Kyle's techniques against Kyle. See, he doesn't appreciate it. Don't worry, Kyle. We'll fix this whole conversation electronically.
We'll edit it, fix it electronically.
You know it was a classic moment. Whenever you repeat it, you do it in the same voice in which it was told to you. Like,
The best thing is I'm not the only person who does that. Like my other friends who worked on, like the actors that worked on it, and crew, they say the same thing.
they have to hear it.
Yeah. It's great. The guy who is our moderator on our panel today, uh, he actually has had that director on his podcast before. He's like, "Oh, have you worked with him before?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've shot like 4 or 5 of his movies."
You wouldn't know it because you're never getting the credit.
He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." I'm like, "I know."
You got to send me a link. I want to hear that guy talk.
Uh, yeah, I can do that. He's Australian, so he's got his great Australian accent.
I watch a lot of MasterChef Australia. Kyle, I can deal. Oregano, right?
Yeah.
Parmesan. Parmesan. I know. I can speak.
So one of my favorite interviews that he did, with Sci-Fi Magazine, and in the interview he was talking about how he's like, yeah, we were just out in the desert shooting some aerials for a movie, and it was really scary because we were shooting and our copter like started having engine problems, and like we had almost like wrecked. Like, all right, like by copter he means he was flying his drone.
Oh, that's
And he made
cute.
it. So he totally worded it. So
Like he's Jim Cameron
like
flying under the
like
fucking bridge in Terminator 2, right?
yeah, it wasn't a lie, but the way he worded it made it sound like
I
like
thought
he
you were
was in
talking
a
about a helicopter.
almost yeah, exactly. That's exactly how he worded it. So I'm like, dude.
I thought you were going to make fun of that his shorthand for helicopter was copter. And I'm like, well, I don't know if that's such a big hit there, Kyle. You know, being a little. And then you're like, no, that's a drone. I'm like, oh shit. You know, you David as pumpkin me. You know what I'm saying? Any questions? You know.
Oh man, Armando's opened up the floodgates. Team Armando's here. What's up,
Needs more David as pumpkins.
all Armando's people?
Needs David pumpkins, dude. That's how we do it.
It's Team Pika Petey?
I'm a
Pika
side
Petty?
duck. I'm a side
I
duck
don't
guy,
know.
man. Side duck is my shit. Side duck.
Have you ever done like a Pokemon piece?
Nope. You know why? Because the minute I do, everyone's gonna be like, I missed 358 of them. You know what I mean? It's hard enough when you do a Rick and Morty piece. Like, you forgot this character. I'm like, there's 20 fucking characters on this piece. I know it the Pokemon. I'll do it for
You're
Game
like
Cave at some point. You know?
I didn't forget the characters. I just didn't have
Yeah.
room or time
See, Kyle,
to do all the
yeah, I
characters.
just don't have the ability to put all 6 gazillion fucking. So I will be putting Pokemon in Game Cave 2 or 3. I just have to like figure out how I'm gonna do that. So,
Yeah. Didn't Dom just do a? Was that a Pokemon he did?
Grandia. No, it's Grandia. It's an RPG that was on the Saturn. Put all the Pikachus in a sack and no one gets hurt. That's funny. So we bought our Halloween candy we're gonna give out, and I just figured,
Mhm.
these kids out here need a little bit more culture, so I just bought a bunch of Pocky. I'm handing out Pocky for Halloween. Come to my place, you get a full size Pocky box.
Maybe I'll swing by.
Mm-hmm.
Hop on the flight.
Next year, I'm also gonna get like a box of wasabi Kit Kats just to mix it up.
Ah, those things are awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a commission.
Meme or two, yeah, Rob's rocking the colored pencils on this piece.
Yeah, the color pencil.
He normally does a lot of Copic stuff, but these covers are the paper on them's not like that great, so
And
you had to
then
work out something new.
that's my excuse for not wanting to use markers right now. Yeah, I don't really feel like using markers. It happens too, like when I go to like, because I just went to we went to the signing at the shop, Mountain Phoenix for the Big Dog anniversary, and it's like, everyone's stuff really just starts to look the same. It's just like I just don't like it. So the more I can do to make my stuff look like my stuff, the happier I am. So when I was first doing my saucies, I would, draw like the torsos and like kind of like not draw arms and stuff, because it was just like designy. And I remember Brandon going, I don't like when you do that. And then like he owns like 16 Billy Fowler pieces that all do that. I'm like, what about when Billy does it? He's like, well, I'm like, you double standard motherfucker. Like,
I like my Billy Fowler stuff.
yeah, he's a good artist. Oh, my wife went to the store to grab the food I have to cook. So when she gets back, I gotta roll anyway.
A couple of my artist friends were telling me I should do a documentary on Billy Fowler's family because apparently they're really crazy.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, like his dad used to be an artist. And is this like super funny crazy guy.
that's awesome. You should, man. Put it right on the YouTube, dude. I'm telling you. Even that one you were saying before, you just put it on the YouTube. You'll get the views, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just a matter of spending money. I'd have to spend the money to go out there, like,
Living
pay
in
a
a car,
sound person,
right?
and
Right.
it's just
Uh-huh.
like, how do I recoup that money?
Pay. You're not a good producer. Kyle, you gotta
If you
learn to
want
think
good sound, man,
of.
that costs money. Uh, Mamer2 asked how long you've been drawing, just in general.
All my life, so I'd say my earliest recollection of it would be around 82, 83.
So you're like 5 or so
4 or 5,
that you
yeah.
remember,
4 or 5 of
4 or 5.
drawing, coloring, obviously, probably earlier than that. Like for real, like 81. Like I was coloring it. I remember around 82. It dawned on me when I was a kid. I had these Heckle and Jekyll coloring books. It's an older
Mm-hmm.
cartoon, folks. Semi-racist cartoon, but that's with the times. And I remember anytime grass would come up, I would have to outline the lines with the different greens so it would look more vibrant. You know what I mean? So I'd say
Yeah,
coloring was always like just built into me. But
yeah.
Transformers came out around 84 and it was on, son. Like when Transformers came out, I was like, I must draw Transformers, and I was horrible at it. horrible.
Stephen Edison. These are Polychromos pencils. And then, do you use Copic multiliners, right, for your?
No, this is actual
Oh,
ink. This is Gerstenbacher. Some
oh
German
wow,
ink. Yeah, this is German ink, man. Ah.
you went all fancy on this one.
Here, it's Zyken. No, if you guys look at the like if you look on my channel in the real-time videos, you'll see like a Hellboy piece and a few other Copic pieces in there, and I ink it with the same stuff. It's this Zerten. It's hard to say. It's Zyken. It's not Deutsche, but Zyken Deutsche, whatever. Sienna, burnt sienna, Rural, and Klinger. So I use that because it has this cool sienna look, and it's pen quill. You use the quill, and it just it adds more life than the Copic multiliners do. So anytime there's color, I just use that as a base. Gets me out of having to print out the art too. What makes German ink different from Indian ink? Well, they made this in Germany.
Correct, Stink Doggo. You got that right.
Yeah, it's from Germany. It's an actual German company. It's just really good stuff, man. It's not overpriced too. It's evenly priced. It really adds life. I've tried a little bit of everything over the years, and so and they don't smear once they dry, which is nice too. No, it's the same kind of ink. It's just made in Germany. So I use it with my watercolors, Copics, color pencil, whatever.
So it's pretty color fast. So like the watercolors don't like once it's dry, it's
No,
pretty
man.
solid.
I mean, you've seen I've been using it for a long time, man. So, like, if you look at guys that have like the Logan and the Hulk Saucy, that's all this ink as well. And I think it goes as far back as when did I start using it? Started using it when I did the Mass Effect Saucies, the second ones.
Okay.
Yeah, around there. So I was trying to save time, so like I would get the different colored multi-liners just to be like, well, I don't have to dip the stuff and I can draw faster. But man, like I like the look of this ink, so I'm like, well, I'll just draw slower. Kyle. I'd rather be consistent. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm just doing straight line art, like when I do like the Transformers covers and stuff, then that's just black Copic multiliner because it doesn't really matter. But if it's gonna have color over it, then I use this ink. I bought like 18 bottles of it, so it'll keep.
TIG, yeah, Sharpies. The ink in those doesn't last like super long. Like I was just talking to someone yesterday who had gotten like a quick Sharpie commission done on just like just plain paper. It wasn't like art paper, and they didn't pay much for it. But I think they said it was like 10 or 12 years ago, and that it's faded like majorly. That
Well, regardless of what you get, you should always be putting it, like, if you're gonna frame it or put it on a wall, if it's real art, man, you should be putting it there like UV shit. Make sure even then it's still not in direct
Yeah, you don't want
sunlight.
it like direct sun. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got like that Earthworm Jim silk screen print that Tenapple did, and he drew me an Earthworm Jim on there. I mean, that's behind UV glass, and otherwise, you keep them in the dark. But yeah, the Sharpie ink is not gonna hold up long term. I don't know. You must be patient. Oh yeah, you gotta be patient. Gotta be patient, guys.
Jackie Chan is a wise Lego man. He's also a wise not Lego man.
Oh, Ninjago. He's talking about Ninjago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Would have been nice if they had continued the actual Ninjago series in the Ninjago movie, though. So, kids really liked the Ninjago cartoon, man. It was our #1 selling thing for the longest time. And then Lego was like, no more Ninjago cartoon. Because they're Lego. Like, we don't need to sell that anymore. Now they don't feel that way. Now they're wishing they had left the shit on. But
Mamer was wondering how long you've been doing cover art.
cover art since 2000 and something cover art. Technically since 2005, but I would say my first real big mainstream cover was 2008 when I started working at Play Magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was full time at Play as staff artist. Like I talked them into that position. They're like, hire an artist. Dave's like, we haven't done that since like the 90s. I'm like, you should do that, and it should be me. So it's one of the few times I went into a room and talked myself into a whole job. And I'm like, and you can always do a B cover. So the way I sold it was that they always do like okay, we were gonna do this. The first Darksiders game was gonna get a cover by Joe Mad. I was like, now check it out. So you got the Joe Mad cover, right? And that's gonna be amazing. Everyone's gonna love it. But they also need a cover that helps secure advertising revenue. So they need a cover for ATVs. I'm like, I'll do the ATV cover. Wasn't great fucking subject material, but it came with them securing a lot of money in advertisement revenue, by doing that. So that's how I got kind of like in by doing B covers on Play.
Have you picked up your Star Wars tickets yet? Or?
Yeah. I got it for Saturday. I don't do the midnight thing on Fridays and shit. So I got a reserved seat. I do the latest showing on a Saturday because I want to come home and think about it, and I may want to see it again on a Sunday, but
Mm-hmm.
I want to avoid any crazy violence that might occur at the movie theater first. Like, man, like I'll never forget the Dark Knight shootings, and it scares the fuck out of me. So it's like I'm in a place where they're allowed to carry, so the chances of that happening here are minimal. Because it'll turn into a giant space cantina fight. But you better promise a Pikachu. At some point, I will be doing Pokemon stuff. So you guys know, man, I bought the original Pokemon when it came out. I had actually for 2 years, a year or two before that, I worked at a toy store. Christmas of '96 and '97. So Christmas of '96, that was when Tamagotchi hit, and Beanie Babies and Tickle Me Elmo. And I was reading. We had the trades, right? And these toy trades, and I would read them because I was way into fucking toys. And Nintendo was in litigation with Galoob because they wanted to bring Pokemon over here, but they wanted to call it Pocket Monsters because they didn't think Pokemon would sell, the name would sell in America. But Galoob had Monster in my pocket. And they were like, no fucking way. No one remembers Monster in my pocket. So they finally dropped the suit because they were going to lose it. and just decided to do unified branding about a year and a half later called and just Pokemon. So I had joined the army and was downrange at the time and it had just come out. I got both red and blue when it came out. I bought both. And I remember every guy in the barracks at the time we were downrange like, what the fuck is this? I'm like, it's like a role playing game, but you gotta go get these monsters and then you can battle one another. And I bought 2 copies so we can all fucking battle. And they were just like, I'm not playing that fucking game with you. You know? you know? Funny part was about a year or two later, Pokemon Stadium comes out on the Nintendo 64, and every guy in the barracks had one. Because eventually their kids got Pokemon, and they got it. You know what I mean? They figured it out. But that first Pokemon, those first 2 games, man, I was clowned to no end. It's the only Pokemon game I played straight through. I liked Pokemon Dungeon a lot. And depending on how they do, I'll probably get the one on the Switch. They're making a full Pokemon game for the Switch, which I'll probably get that. Depending. It just comes down to like time. Dragon Quest is coming out next year and stateside, and I'm just gonna. I don't see myself having much time other than that to play. Yeah, well, they're definitely making it on the Switch, man. The next one is a full Pokemon game on the Switch. So, I know Brandon's like, fuck, I'm gonna have to get a Switch now. I'm like, oh, boo hoo. Tough life, Brandon. How often am I on DeviantArt? I post regularly. So if you look under, there just should be links in the info box to my DeviantArt page. It's under my name, Rob Duenas, Duenas. But I post often. I post here, Instagram, ArtStation, Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr.
MySpace.
Nope, never had a MySpace. I didn't believe in it. Didn't believe in MySpace. I took one look at it. I'm like, this looks like really bad internet in 1995. Animated fire, GIFs everywhere. And back when we were using PageMill to make websites.
Tig was asking if you've heard the interview Neil Adams did with Kevin Smith, where he said all the best artists trace.
No, but I mean, I've listened to Neil Adams many times. I mean, you ever hear of his growing Earth theory?
No.
He believes he has the expanding Earth. He's like the head of the guy. He believes in the expanding Earth, that the Earth used to be smaller, but it expands. That's where how the tectonic plates shifted and everything. That the Earth is actually growing. And I was at this Wizard World in 2005, and I was put next to his son Joel Adams.
Yeah.
And who's a nice guy. And Joel and I we made friends. And I was like, so you're dead in the expanding earth. He's like, oh, fuck. Been hearing about this shit for my whole fucking life. And he had just done this whole, like, interview on Coast to Coast about it. I was like, he was just on Coast to Coast. He's like, yeah, I had to hear about it.
Uh, I wish I would have known this. I could have asked him about it.
Yeah. You ever see Joel Adams? You should ask him about the expanding earth.
I saw him on Friday.
Yeah. To say my buddy Rob told me to ask you about the expanding earth here. Fucking dude. Rob, dude, he probably won't remember my name. He knows me when I see him though. We're not that close. But we were for a couple years, like always like shooting shit back and forth. But he's a good dude. Neil Allen's one of the first guys I ever saw at con reviewing a dude's portfolio. And I just remember this guy showing these pages, and he was basically the guy who was getting the review from him was basically taking images from different comics and kind of redrawing them into poses. And Neil was like, so when Neil says all good artists trace, he don't mean that, because when he was like, you're just Frankensteining these pages, and then remember he looked right at me because I was like 14, and he was like, don't you fucking ever do this shit. Like, I was like, I won't, sir. Like.
Armando asks if we've heard of Night Mind.
Nah, he watches a lot of horror.
Yeah.
I'm learning all about stuff. Once I get done with Stranger Things 2, then I'll probably watch Mindhunters.
Yeah, that's near the top of my list of things to watch as well.
Yeah.
Generally can't go wrong with David Fincher.
Dude, man. Zodiac. I came out of there going, Robert Downey Jr.'s back. And then a year later, Iron Man. I'm like, motherfucker! Like, it's a great 1-2 punch.
Mm-hmm. Armando's gonna watch some Eraserhead this Halloween. Rob doesn't like Eraserhead.
I love to hear David Lynch speak, but Eraserhead, I can't stand David Lynch's films. Like, I had a lighting teacher in college, and he worked on Dune, and David Lynch was his, god. And I had watched Eraserhead once in high school, and it's just one of the worst days of my life. Just can't fucking take it. Can't take it. It's my own personal version of hell, that movie. And I remember one day we had this final, and he was like, okay, we can take the final, or we can all watch a movie. And everyone's like, we want to watch a movie. He's like, but if you watch the movie, you have to stay. And I'm like, I will take the final. Give me a test. Because I just knew it was going to be a fucking David Lynch film. I'm like, and he was smiling. I'm like, no, 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 no. Puts in fucking Eraserhead. And I was like, for the love of Christ. Like, get me out of this room. So I was like, don't make me watch it, man. It's not for me, dude. It's for some people. It's just not for me.
Mamer2 is wondering how long you've been working on this drawing.
Coloring it? 2 hours.
What about total time?
It only took me 2 hours to draw it.
Okay.
About 4 hours.
Rob likes to draw all sorts of details. That's why when people are like, hey, Rob, do a quick Pikachu sketch. Rob doesn't do quick sketches.
Oh.
He puts tons of details in.
Yeah.
So Armando will get his Pikachu eventually.
Yeah, I guess if I did those like Inktovers, that would be a time to sketch something, but I don't
What do
really
you know, Rob? Inktober is not over yet.
I don't really do art like games. You know what I mean?
Rob does art and he does games, but not
Yeah,
art
I
games.
don't like turning art into a game, man. It's it's a struggle enough. I don't need the games. Like, I've worked in art departments, and every now and then you get this artist who's like, let's have an art off, an art off, I'm like, an art off. They're like, yeah, I'll draw some, you draw some, we'll see who does the best one. I'm like, that's what we do every fucking day in this place. We get paid to do that. Why don't you just pay attention? Why don't you just focus on your job, or you're going to be looking for unemployment. You know what I mean? The art director comes around here and sees us fucking drawing a bunch of other shit not work related on the clock, dude. Are you fucking out your mind? Like, why don't you have cinematography offs, Kyle, on set? You know what I mean? Like, see how that goes over. You know? All right, my wife's here. All right, everybody. I need to go make dinner. So we made some progress. I will be back pretty soon. Can't say when, but soon. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate all the new follow people hanging out in the room. Thanks, Armando. You guys want to follow the Instagram? All the links are in the info box below. Kyle's links are there if you want to check out Kyle's work. Kyle, tell everyone about your show they can watch on the internet.
Yeah, you can see the show that I did, Mystic Cosmic Patrol. It's on Funny or Die.
Yeah, so if you guys like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and you like spoofs, you should go check it out. It's pretty fun. Pretty fun. Mystic Cosmic Patrol. All right, everybody. I'll be back on soon. Thanks. I gotta go eat. I'm super hungry. Say goodbye, Kyle. Say goodbye.
Bye.
Pika, pika. Pika, pika. Peace.